why you plan perfectly, then ignore it anyway. This specific brand of organized chaos isn't a personality flaw or a sign of indecision, even if you sometimes feel guilty for wasting all that preparation time. It's actually a sophisticated survival strategy your brain uses to navigate the world without burning out from the sheer weight of the unknown. You aren't just planning for the sake of the schedule, you're doing it to manage a very specific tension inside your nervous system that most people never notice. Once you understand the hidden mechanism behind this habit, you'll realize that your useless plans are actually the only reason you're able to be spontaneous at all. The real reason you spend hours researching every detail of a project or a trip, only to ignore them later, is that your brain is using the plan as a sedative for your anxiety, not as a literal guide for your feet. Psychologists call this uncertainty reduction theory, and it functions as a mental safety blanket that lowers your baseline stress before you even leave the house. When you map out every possible variable, you are effectively telling your amygdala, the part of your brain that treats the unknown like a physical threat, that the future has already been conquered and categorized. By the time you actually arrive at the event, your brain feels so safe because of the preparation that it finally has the emotional bandwidth to look around and notice new opportunities. Imagine you are walking into a dark room. If you have a flashlight and a map of where the furniture is, you feel calm enough to put the map away and just explore the space. Without that initial plan, your brain would be in a state of high cognitive load, meaning you'd be so busy scanning for danger or trying to figure out what to do next that you'd be too frozen to improvise. The plan isn't a set of tracks for a train. It's the scaffolding that holds you up while you're building something completely new in the moment. If you didn't have that color-coded Google Doc in your pocket, you would likely be too overwhelmed by the what-ifs to ever step out of your front door. Think about the last time you had a big conversation to navigate, perhaps a difficult talk with a partner, where you spent the entire morning rehearsing lines in your head and building a mental flowchart of their reactions. But the second you sat down, you threw the script away and spoke from the heart, perhaps saying things you hadn't even practiced. Yet the conversation went better than expected. This happens because the act of planning serves as a form of cognitive rehearsal, which primes your brain to handle complex information without you having to consciously think about it. You are loading all the necessary data into your active memory during the planning phase, which allows you to enter a flow state during the actual performance. In this state, your prefrontal cortex, the part of you that overthinks, steps back because it feels the work of preparation is already done, allowing your intuition to take the wheel. You feel like you're improvising, but you're actually executing a high-level response that was only possible because you already simulated the encounter a dozen times in your head. It's the same reason a jazz musician spends years practicing scales just to forget them on stage. The structure is what creates the freedom to play outside the lines. You aren't failing to follow your plan. You are using the plan as the psychological floor that allows you to jump higher than you ever could from a standing start. The most surprising part of this behavior is that it actually makes you more resilient and adaptable than someone who follows a plan perfectly to the letter. When you plan everything but improvise anyway, you are practicing metacognition, which is the ability to recognize that your planning self and your doing self are two different people with different needs. Your planning self needs certainty to stop worrying, while your doing self needs autonomy to feel effective and alive in the present moment. By allowing both of these versions of you to exist, you've discovered a way to satisfy your need for safety without sacrificing your need for novelty, which is a sign of a deeply integrated mind rather than a scattered one. This realization turns your supposed lack of discipline into a sophisticated form of self-trust, where the plan is simply the permission you give yourself to eventually ignore it. Do you find that you feel more anxious when you have a plan you don't follow, or more anxious when you have no plan at all?